It's Stats Day! Hey everyone, it's Danielle Taylor with Keller Williams Realty here on the beautiful Outer Banks. And I have a confession, I'm tardy. I had this information ready to get out to you a while back and it's been crazy. So anyway, I want to have it out there because I think it's really important to have a record and to watch the trends. So here we go. Just a reminder that all of this information is courtesy of the Outer Banks Association of Realtors. And the information in this video is running through January 1 through May 31 of 2024, okay? Now that we said that, I think I talked last month about really wanting to dial in our data set to encompass the areas that are primarily visited and that our clients are most interested in. So what we've done, instead of using the entire Outer Banks for our information, we've narrowed it down and we're really looking at the trending on single family residential in areas from 4-wheel drive, so including all of Corolla and all of Dare County. So getting rid of some of the stuff that may be on mainland Currituck and some of those other areas that aren't really where we primarily serve for our clients. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into it. Let's get into all our metrics. So we always start off with unit sales. So how are we trending with unit sales? Year to date 2024, for that data set that I told you about, we are down about 3%. Okay, so units are down about 3%. May over May, we're down about 13%. So really seeing a huge jump in that differential. I did the thing where I look back to 2019 and we are down almost 21% versus what the number of units we'd sold year to date in 2019. So definitely selling less units. Now we have to look at how are we doing on the inventory front to see how that goes. But definitely unit sales are down.
Inventory!
Inventory wise, we said our units are down. So how are we doing on inventory? Our new listings year to date 2024 are up 35% versus 23. Okay, so we have 35% more listings. We're selling less. That means that gap is getting bigger. Of the properties that were listed in May, 41% are already sold or under contract. And the average days on market for those is 16. So 41%, so a decent amount are still coming on and going quickly. The new listings overall rose 9% over April and 44% over May of last year. So we're definitely seeing more inventory come on the market, and that is a very consistent message. So at this point, here's what we know so far year to date. Unit sales are down. Inventory is up. So the big question is, what is that doing to our pricing? The median residential sale price year to date in 2024 is up 9% and sits at about $710,000. Okay, so it's up 9% from year to date 2023. Interestingly enough, the median list price, because obviously they haven't closed yet, the median list price for under contract properties is $724,900, and for actives it's $849. So therein, I think, lies the disconnect between today's buyers and sellers. That's the discrepancy. That's where the things that are sitting in the inventory is piling up. That's why. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting statistic. I often get asked from buyers and sellers, what's the sold to list ratio? Like how close to asking price are things going? So in terms of for final accurate listing price, once the property gets under contract and sold, we're sitting at about 98%. So it's about 98% sold to list. How are multiple offers doing? So multiple offers year to date sit at just under 19%. And year to date 2023, it was sitting at about 25%. So definitely still getting some multiples, but getting less. And cash offers sit pretty consistently, but they are up this year over last year. We're sitting at about 31% of our closings are cash versus last year to date, we were sitting at about 23%. So that's what's happening on the pricing front. In terms of price reductions, as we would be expecting with more inventory and that big discrepancy we just saw in the median list price, year to date, about 36.5% of the properties that have sold have done at least one price reduction before doing so. And that is up from what was 30% year to date in 2023. Okay, so that's definitely rising the number of price reductions to get to the right spot. It has not caught up yet to our median sale price, but we need to watch for that because these indicators are showing it. Any properties with a price reduction, when they sold, they ended up at about 88% of their original list price and about 95% of their final right asking price versus 97% for those that did not do a price reduction. Okay, so that's good to know. And of the active properties that are currently sitting on the market, 42% of those have already done a price reduction and they just haven't found their buyer yet. So that's good to know as well. One little interesting thing that I'd like to remind people is just because you have to do a price reduction doesn't mean you might not still get into multiples. The market reacts quickly when we get to the right price. So 13% of the properties that had already done a price reduction ended up in the end getting multiple offers. And that's holding steady from Q1. So right price, market response. That's really what we know. Last couple of things, closing cost concessions. So as this inventory is rising, buyers have more choice. Are we seeing more concessions at closing? The answer is yeah. Year to date, about 48% of the properties that closed had some sort of cost concession, price concession at closing.
Days on market.
The last thing that we always check is days on market. So year to date, average days on market for our sold inventory sits at 54 versus 53 year to date 2023. Okay, so that's holding pretty steady. So the pace is consistent. We're sitting pretty normal. But for our active properties, our current average days on market is sitting at about 80. So I find this month really interesting, and I can't wait to dive into June's results for you because I'm really curious about this trend. If something doesn't shift and if we keep seeing less units sell and inventory rise, at some point, logic and the law of supply and demand would say it's going to have some impact on price. So far, no impact. So anyway, stay tuned. Remember, if you don't subscribe already, make sure you subscribe. I'm sorry I went a little longer. I had a lot to talk about. But make sure you're getting the newsletter, make sure you're watching the channel, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.